final boarding call for all remaining passengers. Please now make your way to the gate. The podcast is about to begin.
Welcome to our travel podcast, Let's Talk About Travel. And in today's episode, I'm absolutely delighted to be joined with a good friend in travel, Sharon Wilson, who is the sales manager for Scotland for the lovely product Celebrity Cruises. So let's just dive straight in and let's find all about Celebrity Cruises. So welcome to the show, Sharon.
Thank you, Linda. I'm delighted to have been asked along today.
Sharon and I go back many, many years. I'm not sure how many it is.
I met you in 1995.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
So that's quite a long time ago.
a few more.
A few decades, yes.
A few more wrinkles. Let's just talk about Sharon Wilson and your journey in travel, just for the viewers and listeners. You've not always worked for Celebrity Cruises, so give us a little resume of where you've come from and what you've done.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll bore a few people with this little story. So my journey in travel started in 1984. I joined Thomas Cook and I was an apprentice, a junior, and that's where I guess the love of working with people started to really excite me, motivate me. I had fantastic colleagues and of course we got the opportunity to start seeing a bit more of the world from an educational perspective and also your own holidays. So I really loved that. I did also, with great mentoring, at some point someone sees something in you and says, I think you should try this, I think you should go for this. And I stayed there for 10 years. And by the time I had left, I had been a manager there and again, brilliant colleagues and really did quite, I loved working there. But one of the latter years of working there, I started, I was asked would I support developing some cruise business. So Cooks sent a colleague and I out to this course in Miami, and it was Royal Caribbean Group at the time. And you were going to kind of be completely immersed in everything that they were all about and come back with a business plan to then cascade this to develop the business within the region. And we did a good job. However, the guy who did the job before me, who I really admired and respected, and he probably made the job look actually easier than what it actually is, he left. And an opportunity came up and I applied for it and I was really lucky that I got it. And in 1995, I joined the Royal Caribbean Group.
And that's where we first met, of course, way back in the day.
Exactly.
When cruising really wasn't on everybody's lips. You know, in 1995, cruise was so new to a lot of people. And that's where my original role started, was developing the cruise business for another travel agency. And you and I got to work together and really build an incredible, the amount of sales we did for Royal Caribbean back in the day. But Royal Caribbean, again, back in the day was really just the Caribbean. It was only just starting to move into Europe in 1995.
Yeah, so I think you're right. Like my memories of back then, obviously I had a lot to learn. I realised that particular gentleman that I followed in his footsteps made it look easy. I had a lot to learn, but the support of the travel agents when cruising in the UK and Ireland probably was still at the early stages of development. So with that said, there was a lot of opportunity, a lot of work to do. Like every 5 years, there was kind of like a wee bit of a review of where we're at, where we're going. But I think, obviously, the journey has basically been working in a couple of different roles at Royal Caribbean and at Celebrity, because it was
a dual brand at that point.
So Celebrity, I'm pretty sure it was in the 80s when Celebrity was born, with a Greek family, a Greek shipping family, the Chandris family, and they had a massive, impact and influence on the celebrity development in its own. But back in the late 90s, which you will remember this because I can see us all working with whoever the salespeople were at the time. Back in the 90s, that's when the two companies merged. So Celebrity and Royal became the one big organisation, but they have always operated as two separate brands. So for a while, I would have been working with actually 2 or 3 brands. I loved that particular role because the brands are so different from each other. It never felt difficult to differentiate them, and it still doesn't feel difficult because they are so clear about where they're going and where they want to be in the marketplace. But I think to your initial point about it was still quite niche in the 90s, cruising. There were a selected number of travel agents who chose to sell cruise or really try and develop it and do a lot of marketing with it. But oh my goodness, I mean, I can remember saying to people, one day you are going to sell this product, these cruises, almost like the way you're so confident at selling Mallorca and Tenerife.
And it's so
you're
true.
going to sell it.
It's happened.
And it's massively happened. I mean, I was just looking at some stats. Last year, so 2024, it's reported that from the UK and Ireland, 2.4 million people took a cruise.
Wow.
And that's amazing. So why is that? Like, I mean, I'm asking you the question, but I'm kind of wanting to answer it myself.
You go for it then, and I'll put my tuppence worth in.
Yeah, I mean, the value, the value is exceptional. The standards on board ships are exceptional. And just the overall, it's so safe. The overall choice that you get, the dining, and obviously, you know, I would love to talk a bit more about the Celebrity offering because I'm not long off one of the ships. But I mean, from your perspective, you speak to customers more frequently, a lot more frequently than I do. What do you think is also the attraction there?
When I started in travel, people who cruised, it was for the rich and famous or the retired, and that was, you know, very much the retired market, mainly because probably they had the disposable income. But now everybody wants to cruise. You know, I think you hit the nail right on the head. It's value for money, but people want more from their holiday now. Again, when I started in selling cruising, people were happy to book a cabin with no bathroom.
Yeah.
You know, that just wouldn't even be a thing now. You know, people's expectations, they're looking for that luxury experience. So yeah, if you compare it, what you get on a celebrity, we're talking about Celebrity today, but what you would get on a 5-star Celebrity ship compared to a 5-star land-based, Celebrity outweighs, you know, every time on value for money. And also the younger audience now as well, I find, whereas before it was always the retired. Whereas now, what would you say the average age, and I know we're jumping around here, but what would you say the average age on a Celebrity European itinerary is?
I would say it's probably mid-40s now.
Yeah.
Mid-40s. And, you know, it's there is a cruise out there for everyone. Obviously, we have massively grown our volume from Scotland, from England, Ireland, Wales. We've massively grown it. And I think it's because we listen to the customers a lot. We talk to the customers a lot. And that often forms where they weigh up to try something new or make sure new ships have got X, Y, Z. So yeah, it's been, I think personally for me, it's been a really amazing journey. If someone had said to me, you will work for that organisation for 25 years plus, I wouldn't have believed them, but I've stayed because it's been so motivational. They're very inspirational. They're always thinking ahead. There's always new concepts. It's a really fast paced. You're just talking about your job and all that. It's very fast paced, but it's very rewarding and it's lovely. Like, you know, just holistically, I think the travel industry is a fantastic industry to be in. But I feel really blessed to be working in the cruise sector because it's definitely a sector that's going crazy.
And it's exciting as well.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. It's very rewarding. And I think, you know, absolute credit to yourself, Linda, that you have also been a partner that has continually supported. I mean, any of my roles, you've always supported myself, but I know that you do more than that, and you have always supported. So,
the cruise industry is it's massive. So as a travel agent, it would be crazy not to have a part of that business. I mean, I don't know what our percentage of our cruise business would be, but it's really, really high. And without a shadow of a doubt, it's the biggest single sector of our business. I personally love to cruise, and I've been really privileged to be on some of the amazing celebrity ships over the years. It ticks all the boxes and more. And if you can do that as a travel agent and give people that experience, then you've got the customer time and time again, which is great. And within the celebrity brand, there is there's opportunity to do something different every year, because it's not just the Med, it's not just the Caribbean, and we'll go on to talk about that. Jumping ahead of myself, but we'll go on to talk about all the different destinations. So tell us, your job as a sales manager, what does that mean? Tell me roughly what you would do. Your bosses might be listening. What you would I was going to say what a typical day would look like, but that's ridiculous, because there wouldn't be a typical day. A typical week, what kind of things do you do in your role?
So my particular role is called the regional sales manager. I actually look after Scotland and the Northeast. Over other years, I've looked after Ireland, Cumbria, but my role is much more about spending time with travel partners like yourself, coming along. And I would say the first thing that we kind of always want to try and find out is a bit about you, about your business. How much cruise business do you do? How much do you think the opportunity is there to do more? Where could we possibly tap into to get that? So that would be understanding you and your business. Also part of that would be training needs. If you get any new staff, or do all the staff need training? And that could be in the form of the online models that we have. We Celebrity are really, really blessed to have the most incredible trainer. Like, not all cruise lines have trainers, and we have got an absolute gold standard of a trainer in Leon Hand, and he creates a lot of the online, a lot of the face-to-face. He himself will do things like podcasts, but he is an absolute guru, and he brings an awful lot to the table, as well as the online and the face-to-face and ship visits. And so I would do a version of that also. Like, if we can't do what's already there, I would come in and potentially do staff training at whatever time suits the partner, to support the staff to be able to have more confidence and talk about the product eloquently, and make sure the messages that we're giving across are the correct messages. So there's understanding the business, there's training, there's marketing. Again, the marketing side of life now is massive, absolutely massive. So that's a really big thing, whether it's social, whether it's radio, whether it's adverts, anything. Business development, again, kudos to you, Linda. Over many years, you've come to me with opportunities, and we love that. We love thinking outside the box, and we're really blessed to have a massive repeat ratio of customers coming back again and again to Celebrity. But we obviously want to always look for new customers as well. We're building new ships. We need to fill them all. So we do business development. Also, ship visits. We're really lucky that if there's a ship coming into Scotland, we usually get space to then invite travel partners on. So that's a great day at the office. Driving down to Greenock, going on the ship.
In the sunshine, of course.
Yeah. Well,
always.
we can't always prescribe that, but that's excellent when we get days like that, and that really does work for us.
Well, it's nothing like the team. I talk from my own I've been really lucky to be on the ships on holiday and on trips, but for the staff to see it firsthand, to see the size of the ship, you know, and then go on board and get lunch and just get a real, there's nothing better than a ship visit.
Standing in a certain venue and being able to bring it to life, even although when you're on, there's not very many guests on. They're usually seeing the beautiful sights of our country. But
I thought you were going to see the beautiful sights of Greenock there, but
well, yeah, I'll be impartial, obviously, but yeah, just bringing it to life, it just feels so much more close. And what else? Yeah, we have ship launches as well, which is obviously one of the most exciting times in any calendar year, when you're launching a brand new ship, and travel partners go onto that as well. I'm also responsible for the social media side regionally, like what do we post on our own social media, and again, that is absolutely massive. And then just general day-to-day trying to support the travel partners. If they've got any questions, you need to direct them to the right department.
So no 2 days would look the same then?
No, it's a very fast-paced, exciting environment to be in, and yeah, I still love it.
You can tell that you're really passionate about it, which is great, and it's infectious. So tell us, celebrity cruises. Where would you say? I've already mentioned that it's a 5-star product, but where would you say they sit in the market, and what's the market segment for celebrity?
So we are definitely sitting within the premium end of large cruise ships, and I would say celebrity is very much about delivering the service and the experience almost like you're on a smaller ship, yet the choice and amenities, entertainment, bars, restaurants of a larger ship. So things like you order a drink, the bar staff are absolutely trained to try and remember the next time you come along, what's the drink that you like, what's your favourite, and even better if they remember your name. But that's
it's a big ask when there's so many passengers.
There's a lot of guests
the
there,
service
but
is amazing.
I think that's the whole point. You don't feel there's as many guests there because the ships are a great size and they're designed in such a way that there's always things going on in different spaces to keep the traffic, the flow of everything moving around. So there's always different things going on, always. I think, number one, we've said this for years, that destination is the driver. So when you're talking to your own guests, your own clients, usually the first question is, where would you like to go? What would you like to see? And that then starts the foundations of where do you go from that. So something that celebrity as a company, as a brand, we are constantly focused on is destinations. Where should we be going in 2027 or 2028 that we don't currently go, but we know it's an up-and-coming destination? So there is a team, our head office is in Miami, even although we've got offices in lots of other places, but there is a team there that are always looking at where do you go, what's the future looking like. So that's great. And even, well, we've just launched all the way up to 2028, the start of it, shall we say, some of the destinations. And I think in our European itineraries, there's 32 different destinations within the new opportunity, the new season. So there's an example of the destinations.
I think the destinations are really key. When I look back at the start of travel, Alaska was such a brand new destination. Mm-hmm. And I remember thinking as a Scottish person, like, why would anybody want to go to the cold? Or that'll be, whilst I see that Alaska was breathtaking and it was an incredible destination, I was thinking this could be quite a hard sell for the Scottish market who love to go in search of the sunshine. Yeah. And, 20, 25 years later, so many people now, if you ask them what their favourite cruise destination is, they'll say it's Alaska. And I would agree with that. I haven't done it. I've been privileged to do it a few times. So yeah, new destinations. So
new destinations, that's just been launched. We've just launched on the 5th of August, we just launched Canada, New England, transatlantics, Japan, and Europe. So wherever you want to go, that's just the start. In the next 4 weeks, there'll be more.
Have got a ship in the destination you would want to go to.
Yes.
And I think, when I think of celebrity cruises, I do think of 5-star, premium. What does luxury look like for each customer? And it's very, very different. Some customers want the small ship experience. Some customers want the large ship experience. And obviously celebrity would sit in the kind of larger ship experience. But one of the things to highlight is that if they want that intimate small experience or small ship experience, they can book a suite and have the retreat. Do you want to tell us a little bit about what the retreat looks like and what that is?
So, I mean, there's a few core constants within the brand that I'll touch on, but to answer the retreat question, the retreat is a luxury experience within the ships. It was first launched, I'm sure, on the Edge series of ships. So we're just about to take delivery in November of our 15th ship. Within those 15 ships, there are certain ships that are identical pretty much. So the Edge series is our latest, our newest, and
the ships are insane.
The retreat gorgeous. Was kind of the retreat concept was launched on that. So it is a luxury experience within the whole ship. If you book the retreat, you have a suite, you have a butler, you have extra amenities like your own restaurant. It's called Illuminate. There's most of the ships, but specifically I'm thinking about the Edge series right now. It has the most stunning concierge lounge. I mean, when we talk about premium, they really have taken it to the Edge series have taken celebrity to a completely different level of style, sophistication,
and I think that's why it's brought
the
age group down, because for me the Edge Class series is perfect for the 35 plus market who are looking for that kind of beach club experience, but still, younger people today are very much wanting, they don't want to save up for a holiday. They're doing it now regardless. And I think the Edge Class has ticked that box very, very well. But if I look at clients who maybe want have done lots of cruising and like the small ship, exclusive part of a small ship, then the retreat ticks that box, because they can still have that, feeling of being on a smaller ship, but walk through the doors and you've got everything a big ship has to offer.
And I think also the retreat, like if you do book the retreat, you have all your drinks and you have your Wi-Fi, you've got that beautiful concierge lounge, you've got on many of the ships, but certainly the Edge, you've got your own pool, your own hot tubs. The outdoor furnishings are beautiful. Absolutely stunning. The really thick loungers, like lots of gorgeous towels, even suntan lotion, sunglasses. It is such a nice area.
Yeah, they come and clean your sunglasses.
Yeah, there's a bar there. Like if you wanted to have like a light lunch up there, it is a ship within a ship, almost like. But how wonderful to offer that. I mean, even when you look at the staterooms, the suites, they are beautiful. But how wonderful to offer that. But then if you want to go and visit 3 different bars that evening, you want to go and see a show, you want to go to the casino, the choice that you've got. Shopping. Why am I not surprised you mentioned the shops? Shopping, that choice that just is there for everyone. But of course, if you book the retreat, you're paying for something that you want extra special, an extra special experience. So I think it's a really lovely concept to be in the retreat and also have the rest of that incredible ship. But the other things I was going to touch on in terms of the constants with the brand, dining, food and drink, that's just constantly being evolved. Celebrity Cruises were the first cruise line to win the Forbes Travel Magazine Award. No cruise line had ever won that before. they tended to focus more on leading hotels of the world, and then decided, let's look at the cruise sector, and celebrity were first. So a number of the ships have got the Forbes Travel Guide like award, accreditation, and also there is a speciality restaurant on the ship called the Fine Cut Steakhouse, and that also has been given the award. And I was lucky enough to dine in there a couple of weeks ago. I was on Celebrity Apex out of Southampton. It was wonderful. I'm glad you asked me to come because I'm still quite buzzing from it. But
the job.
The Fine Cut Steakhouse, yeah, you know, it was the service. It's the way the staff interact with you, the menu choice. But I just feel I have to talk about the steak because I was still thinking about it when I got home. How could I even try and get that
replicate
texture, that outside texture that was kind of crispy, so tasty, all the herbs, but inside it was completely the way I wanted. It was medium. And then all the extras, the sautéed mushrooms, the creamed spinach, all the...
It's dinner time, Sharon, I'm hungry.
I know, exactly. So that was really beautiful. So they have got... the main dining experience is excellent on its own. Like, we were in the main dining room a number of times. I really loved it. I loved the choice. And then out with that, potentially breakfast, lunch and dinner. If you so wanted to, you could go to a more casual style Solarium Cafe, Ocean View Cafe, actually it's called. And the choice in there is magnificent. It really is. Breakfast, you name it, you can pretty much have it. I mean, I didn't go one morning. I decided to have my breakfast in my stateroom, and my husband came back and I said, "How was your breakfast?" And he was like, "How long have you got?" Like, he had kippers, he had like the omelette, he had. So the choice is really, and then there's lots of healthy food and loads of different fruit. But
that was one of the things that I saw. People talk about cruising and how you have to take 2 sets of clothes because time you come off the other side, you've gained 5 pounds at minimum if you're having a good cruise.
Yeah.
But more and more cruise lines are going for the healthy option because, again, that's what a lot of the younger people are looking to do. They're wanting to go on a cruise, but they don't want to blow their diet.
Yeah.
But you can still eat, insane food, but with the healthier choices. And I would say for celebrity, for me, there's so much choice out there in the cruise industry in general. So as an agent trying to differentiate between the brands, one of the things for me with celebrity was the food choice. Your sister brand, Royal Caribbean's hardware is also absolutely insane and it's amazing. But I would say between the celebrity and the Royal brand, it was the food and service for me that gave it that extra star.
But that's great because that is what they are. We can't be too similar because like, what would be the point in having two separate brands? And we are definitely very different, each in their own fantastic way. But that's great that is what you feel about it, because that is a big constant and goal. And we use a word quite often, like we want to elevate guest expectation. We want to surprise people. And, even being in the industry for a long time, when I saw it was called the Buffet Extravaganza, and every single day you get the newsletter, the captain's newsletter in your stateroom, but nowadays you can find out everything on the app.
The app's very good, to be fair.
Yeah, it's a must, like, for lots of people, but it's still there in paper. And I was like, I wonder what this is like, the Buffet Extravaganza. If I had missed that, I would have been so annoyed with myself, because my colleagues were laughing at me. They were like, "How many pictures did you take of that seafood?" Because I went in and all on the ice was the oysters, the mussels, the lobster tail. It was just so much in abundance. Of course, there was other incredible food there, but I do love seafood, so I went a bit crazy with the seafood. But I mean, all these oysters,
But that's going back to what you were talking about earlier about the value for money. Mm-hmm. That the kind of buffet, was it a daytime buffet?
Yeah, it was.
So a lot of people now go for these bottomless brunches, and that's a trendy thing to do with your friends. And if you were doing that in a luxury 5-star hotel in this country, not too far from where we're sitting just now, that would cost you in excess of a couple of £100 per person, but that's included in the price. So I think it's really good to highlight, what is included. Because pretty much everything is included apart from spa treatments, shopping, shore excursions, everything else you can.
I mean, I think like the drinks is also a wee bit of a personal thing. Like we've just touched on that now, the food and the drinks. So yes, you've got your main dining, yes, you've got casual, and you've got something that they're really proud of, these speciality restaurants. So a number of different, let's say, style or themed speciality restaurant. I just spoke about the Fine Cut Steakhouse. It was amazing. There's a number of other fabulous restaurants, whether you love seafood, also location wise as well, like sitting at the back of the ship, floor to ceiling windows, or dining outside, and it's just really special. But you need to have the service that matches that, and they really do. For every 2 guests on board, there is 1 member of crew.
Wow, so the service level is going to be amazing. And I think Celebrity have got right as well. A few years ago, they had the Always Included, where it was basically an all-inclusive 5-star product. But the world has changed quite dramatically in the last few years about the people who don't want alcohol now. So I think it's a really good idea that Royal Caribbean Celebrity now give you the choice to include your drinks or not, which for people who don't drink is ideal. But if you want to include it, you can just pay that small supplement and add it on, and your drinks are taken care of. But also, as a travel agent, what I have to point out to guests is if you're looking at a 10-night Rome to Rome, Eastern Mediterranean, you're in port pretty much every single day. So unless you're planning and having, an absolute mental night, do you need the drinks included? Probably not, because you can just pay as you go and have a few cocktails at night. But if you really want to have the go wild and have it all prepaid before you go, then but giving customers choice. And I think that's important, giving the choice back to the customer rather than saying this is just an all-inclusive product and you're paying for it whether you're because it's not free, it's included in the price.
I think you make a really good point. It is about choice. It's completely personal. You have to work out if it works for you. But what I will say in all sincerity, because I'm just off, the supplement that we ask for also includes the Wi-Fi, which is also something nowadays that people love having access to.
That's a bit of a non-negotiable now, isn't it, for
it's
people?
It's a bit of it's something that so many people love. Like whether you want to WhatsApp your family when you're there, let them see where you are and taking the pictures and putting them, even if it's not on social, but sending them. It's really lovely when you're away somewhere to be able to share. So the charge that we have does include the Wi-Fi, and actually it is brilliant value for money. And I say that most sincerely because I'm just back. And
Wi-Fi at sea is something that, again, when I started cruising, you couldn't even have considered using a mobile phone at sea because it was like $20, shipped to shore per minute. Then it became, a very expensive product, but it wasn't that good. Now it's pretty fast, pretty efficient, and show me a person that doesn't want to be sharing their incredible experience on their social media. It's a showcase of what your life is, and what better way to,
and we love it.
Well, absolutely. Well,
we love it.
So do I. There's nothing I love more than to see my customers sharing their incredible holidays that I've booked for them on social media. And it's not just, showing off, but it kind of is, and it's great.
We have this little funny one-liner at the end of a great video. It's a minute long, just shows you people doing lots of different things throughout their day and their evening. And then at the end of it, it says, sorry, not really sorry. Because
sorry, not sorry.
Sorry for being so happy,
I know.
So it is. But I mean, my goodness, that's what holidays are supposed to be about. It's about the joy. Loads of people work so hard. They get 2 weeks off a year. They've saved up. So you really need to bring it. And I think, obviously I'm going to sound rather biased, but I have worked in different lines, and I do believe this is absolutely up there in terms of exceeding expectations.
Exceeding expectations, that's the strap line, isn't it? And that's what holidays are all about. You know, why would you not want to exceed your customers' expectations? And, you know, for us selling the product, you know, you just don't get customer complaints. You know, the complaints you do get are things that are not actually the cruise line's problem. It's, you know, a flight's been delayed, a bag's gone missing. These are things that nobody's got any control over. But do you ever get complaints about the actual, you know, I would call it the hardware? Absolutely not. You do exceed customers' expectations.
So they've got this one-liner also. Well, you'll see it in a lot of the materials that we produce. Nothing comes close. It's quite a bold statement.
But it's true.
Actually, it is fair. Nothing comes close. You're going to really need to deliver here. And they do.
They do, yeah.
And, you know, you were asking about, you know, the brand, and there are just kind of like certain key constants that we have to look at. The other thing that we're always looking at is the entertainment, the bars, the live shows. And going back to that, you know, there's always different things going on. But what I was most impressed with on my Apex cruise recently was the standard of the performances, whether it was a duet in Eden Lounge, whether it was the show where it was immersive and it was trapeze and like gymnasts and singers and dancers. It was just wow. So many shows that I did see had the wow factor. And I also believe, apart from having top drawer performers, it's because of the technology that the ships now have.
Amazing.
Yeah,
amazing.
The audio, the visuals. I mean, I saw this one show called Rockumentary, and it was so funny because I can't remember why, but for some reason, which isn't really unusual, my husband was running late. So I was like, I'm going to go ahead because I want to see this. And I went, I'll try and like save you a seat at the back or whatever. Anyway, it was every single night, the theatre was full. It was absolutely chock-a-block.
That speaks volumes, doesn't it?
Exactly. So I go in and I'm watching this show, and all the visuals in the back were festivals from about the 60s all the way through to today. All the visuals were just really incredible, of big stars. And then their own production team, their own production singers and dancers came out and kind of emulated that.
Brought that to life.
Yeah. And it was amazing. So I ended up sitting next to a lady who was also sitting on her own, right?
Waiting on her husband.
Yeah. And I think she said, he's not coming. But I couldn't have sat next to a better person because the two of us were loving it. Sitting there with our glass of wine, loving all the music. It really, I have to say, 10 out of 10 for what goes on with
and
the
again, value
entertainment.
for money. That's, we talked about the magnificent buffet that you went to that's included in the price. The shows at night are included in the price. And if you sit down and work out, you know, would you go to a show every night if you're on holiday? Probably not, because regardless of how much money you've got, you're not paying that every night. But you do on a cruise because it's included in the price, and it's just incredible because it's, you know, high-end Broadway shows that you're getting to see. And now with the technology, a lot of the theatres in the West End and Broadway don't even have that technology. So they really do transport you to the very best of what is out there. So
whether it's aerial performances, production shows, comedy, they have such a variety. And if you're someone that's like, I don't really like going to the theatre, then there's other fun things. You know, you might just like listening to a band. They have that all over in different venues. You're not restricted to going to the one area.
But that's going back to giving the customer the choice. I mean, that's why I think cruising works for everybody. You know, I could sell cruising literally to the dogs in the street, because there's no argument, oh, I don't like being cooped up in a ship. Well, you're not cooped up in a ship. You're going somewhere different every day. I don't like, you know, being herded about going to the show. Nobody's making you do that. There's literally something for everybody. And that's why the big ship works for people who maybe have never cruised before, because they're scared they're going to feel too, you know.
Yeah. To be fair, like 2.4 million people travelled on a cruise last year, but I mean, there's probably so many more millions took a holiday. So there's lots of people there still
who don't know anything about celebrity cruises.
And to be fair, you know, the myths for first-time cruisers may still be there. I think word of mouth is a brilliant form of influencing. People tend to believe their friends more sometimes.
Well, I think that's why social media has such a big part to play in it. You know, you're right from your TikToks all the way through, that people can now feel that they've experienced a cruise before they've actually gone. And yeah, so cruise companies should actually give free Wi-Fi to people so they can share their their experience. So put that down.
Yeah, take it easy, Linda. But the thing is, you know, like what is hard for lots of people to grasp, to be fair, creating super fast Wi-Fi at sea, it took years and years. You gave a wee nod to that earlier on. It took years and decades to be able to have it. And the group were one of the first cruise lines to actually make it happen. So, you know, who knows what the future will be like. But
it's always evolving. When I started going on cruises, you know, obviously being self-employed, you know, without having to get the violin out, on holiday, I always worked for a couple of hours a day. And I used to have to, you know, take my laptop, my really heavy laptop, which took up all my hand luggage, down to the internet cafe and book a slot and pay the most ridiculous amount of money and watch the things spin, just to check in my office to see what they'd done. Yeah. Now, you know, with the smartphones and the great technology on board the ship, you know,
it's doesn't happen like that.
Absolutely a doddle to work and it's a pleasure because you can do it from your sun lounger, you know, from your lovely suite or your stateroom. And another thing on celebrity, the beds are got to be the comfiest beds at sea. So they've thought of everything.
So I just did two other little things really quickly to say that we always focus on. So yes, your room, your stateroom, what's your home for the next like 7 to 14 or longer days, has evolved so much to suites in the retreat where you've got your own butler, to industry first with the infinite veranda stateroom, which
that's an amazing concept.
There are a lot of, I mean, as things have evolved, even going back to, you know, the Solstice series, you know, like up to 85% of the rooms on board would have a balcony, but things have really moved on. And we launched the infinite veranda stateroom.
Can we just talk a little bit about what that is? Because a lot of my clients will say, what does that mean? And I've experienced it, which is great. So you're kind of inside, outside space and making your stateroom feel that much bigger. Yeah,
it's so lovely. So personally, I just experienced it for the first time on this cruise. So just to give you how it works, I'm going to start with first thing in the morning. So the room, what I really love about going on, and I know this isn't about me, but as you know, lots of us put importance on sleep. You talked about the bedding and the beds and how comfortable they are, and they're a great size, and the pillows. But another thing is room temperature, and I personally like my room being really dark, verging on not pitch black. So
just book an inside cabin for you then.
No, I love this. I'm having this. So the infinite veranda is, first of all, first thing in the morning, you press a button or you can stand there and do it manually, but you press a button
or do it on your phone.
Or do it on your phone. And thanks, Linda. And this will automatically take up your blinds. So it's just so cool. Just creating that great sleep area. I am a bit sleep obsessed, to be fair. And then what your view is from there. So if you imagine you're in your room, your beautifully, tastefully decorated plush room, there's absolute, you know, similarities in lots of the rooms, the quality of the furnishings, well appointed. But the infinite veranda, if you think about a regular balcony veranda, you would have gone over and opened the door pulled it aside and then gone out into that space, straight into the fresh air. Whereas with the Infinite, it's almost like kind of like bifolding doors that move back. You can keep them there or you can move them back. We kept ours open all the time because I just wanted that extra square footage.
It does give you a much bigger feeling of space in your cabin.
So the extra square footage with the seating area, with it's almost like a lovely kind of wooden effect on the floor. And then you have your veranda window, let's call it floor to ceiling window, but it's actually partitioned halfway. And again, at the touch of a button, the upper part of the window just gradually comes down to wherever you want that to be, making it look more like your regular balcony. It is so cool.
It's so popular with customers.
It's so cool and very clever, very smart. So room choices, as you mentioned, interior, ocean view, veranda, suites, and the aqua class is really popular as well. You mentioned the healthy lifestyle, the healthy living. I mean, I've got a colleague that has just done aqua class again on Apex, and he said the restaurant blue was absolutely magnificent. So all those healthy ingredients, how it's cooked, how it's presented, he said it was absolutely superb. He enjoys getting into the spa, so you automatically get entry into the spa. Yeah, it's lovely. And things like early embarkation. There's a few other extras that
additional
you get.
Benefits,
beautiful. But the final wee thing I was going to say,
I know, because we're actually out of time, so I've got a few quick fire questions for you.
Okay, the final wee thing I was going to say to you was, and we've already touched on it, but you can have beautiful ships, you can have amazing foods, you can have great shows, which Celebrity have got them all, but you still need the heart. And the heart is the crew, the hospitality. They truly, wherever these people are trained, oh my goodness, they are amazing. All of that done, and they still get this relaxed atmosphere about it all. So again, total kudos to the ambience on board.
I think Celebrity ticks so many boxes for people. Yeah. And I'm really aware that we're out of time and I'll need to get you back on to do another episode. So maybe a part 2 at some point. But
absolutely.
I really appreciate...
There's always news.
There's always... We could talk forever about a product we're both really, really passionate about. But thank you so much for joining me on the Let's Talk About Travel podcast. And just to finish off, a couple of quick fire questions. So literally 1-word answers. And these are from what Sharon Wilson thinks. So what would be your sail away song?
It's got to be something happy. So why not Will Ferrell?
I don't know that one. Oh, yeah, I do know that one.
If I said the wrong name, Pharrell Williams.
I know the song you mean.
Pharrell
but
Williams.
Yeah. So,
Will Ferrell's the
comedian. A sea day or port day?
Depending on how one is feeling, but I'm just going to go with a sea day. I love it. I love chilling out. I love then getting dressed up and going out and enjoying everything the ship has to offer.
And finally, what would Sharon's dream destination be that's on your bucket list you haven't yet visited?
I've been totally blessed and lucky to have seen so many places because of this job, but I haven't been to South America. Okay. So I think that would be I hear fantastic things about that, and it's a very different culture. And
very, very popular just now.
Yeah,
so I think a lot more cruise lines are moving into that destination. So
that would be up there for me.
So thank you so much, Sharon, for joining us on our podcast, and I'll look forward to having you back on another time to finish the celebrity story. But thank you,
Linda. I really appreciate it.
So, thank you so much, Sharon, for joining us on today's Let's Talk About Travel podcast. And I will have to get you back on for part 2 because there's just too much to talk about. So, join us again.